Hey cycling community, this is Steve, Bruce's Cycling Greek. Next month starts racing again, and the first race is going to be a road race, and I'm going to be using that as one of my major tests to determine if I'm worthy enough to be in the mix with nationals the following month in the 65 to 69 category. This road race has a 65 plus category, also has a lot of climbing, and the road race I'm going to be doing at nationals, if I go to nationals, it's also going to have a lot of climbing, so it's going to be a great test. This road race next week also has 8 miles of gravel. And my bike isn't set up for gravel. My attitude isn't set up for gravel. But I got to do the best that I can. So on my race wheels I use 23's, tubular 23's. And so I got a couple of 25's that just came in. 25's. I also got some glue to glue them on. Now, the bike shop had told me that 28's will not fit in there. I have a 2005 Colnago HP Dream Plus. Record can't be group, so record can't be calipers. My race buddy Bob got 28's to fit on his bike that he had. And he had Ultegra calipers on there. So I decided, well, I'm going to take a chance. So the next day I ordered a couple 28's. And so those guys came in. So what I'm going to do is I've already taken off the 23's, and I'm going to stick the 28's on there without glue, just fit them on there, and then put them on my bike and see if they sufficiently clear the calipers in the front and the back. If they can, great, I'll glue them on there. If they can't, then I got to use my 25's. The last clip that you just saw, I made about a couple days ago. A lot of stuff has happened since then. So the main question is, can I get 28's onto my road bike here? And so I have the 28's here right now, but still that's not conclusive. When I put them on before, the rear wheel was seemingly working okay with that, but the front wheel was hitting the fork because the front wheel was out of true. And I just couldn't use one of my regular spoke wrenches because it doesn't take spoke wrench. It has to be adjusted through the rim, so I had to use a nipple wrench. And I went down to one of the bike shops here, and it was a guy that I used to race with a long time ago, and he actually let me work in it there as opposed to me buying the tools there, because apparently the nipple wrench wasn't going to work alone because it's a straight spoke. So if I turned the nipple here, the whole thing would turn down here. So there's another tool that just grabs the spoke and just holds it there. It's kind of like clamps it in. So I got that straightened out, and then I put the tires back on, and of course they didn't glue them on. I just put them on, and if it works out, then I'll glue them on. So this is what we have so far. I don't know if you can see it through here, but there is the gap between the fork and on the top, especially the fork and the top of the tire there, and so that seems doable just sitting there. Now, when I'm looking at the other end here, at the front end, it is even a smaller gap. It looks like. So the question is, when I'm riding it, is anything going to happen? Now, I have the extra situation, hassle, whatever what happened to my fork a long time ago on the right side. It was on a bike stand, and it fell off, and it just dent this a little bit, and so I had to do some filing, etc., to make sure that I can get a wheel in. This was a few years ago. I never got the fork replaced. It seems to be working okay. If that's a cost I don't have to worry about, then I'm cheap. I don't do it that way. Also, which falls into just about every decision financially I make, is that we are accelerating the payments on our house, and we should have things paid off by May of next year. So that's one reason why I still have this 2005 bike as my main bike, and my other bike is a 2000 bike. Both Colnagos. All right, I'm going to spin on it and then apply some pressure and see what happens. The reason I have the helmet on is, even though I'm going to be out here for just a few minutes, I should say, doing that, this thing can catch and put me over the bars. So, helmet. Okay, went up the driveway, so good so far. I'm on the road. I'm just free pedaling going down the small incline. It does not seem to be a drag. Now I have, I don't know how much air I have in this thing. I'll say I have at least 80 pounds in here. I certainly didn't go up to 100. Okay, first mini test is I'm going to lift this bike and just roll the wheel and see what's if anything grabs. Can I do this with one hand holding the bike? Let's do this. So good so far. And that's good too. Okay, now I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure and see what happens. Okay, sprinting would seem to go well. The whole time I was doing that, I was thinking, man, if this catches and puts me over the bars. Okay, front wheel. Looks good. And rear wheel. Looks good. All right, I'm going to spin my wheel again, each of the wheels, and I want you to see the spacing between the top of the tire and the bottom of the fork and see how that varies. See it kind of bouncing there? We'll do the same thing with the front. See it kind of bouncing there? When I chewed the rim, I didn't check for being out of round. But it may be that the tubulars I'm using, I noticed when I was sticking it on there, it was a little different than sticking on the 23's. And I could see where this could be a little bit challenging with the glue to make sure I have everything lined up. And I think it's a case of lining up. If for those of you that have more experience with me on that than I do on this, because the only tubular experience that I've had is sticking on my the 23's, and I glued them maybe a total of 4 times through the few years that I've had these wheels. So if you have any tips, please put them in the comments below. Okay, so far it looks like I'm going to be able to race these tires in this upcoming road race next week. And that road race is going to have about 8 miles of gravel, 3 sections, so it's something like 3 and 2 miles. And it's going to have 1 long climb, and the long climb I think is going to be, it's been so many years since I've done it. It could be anywhere from 1.75 miles to 3 miles long. And it's going to have a couple of minor climbs in it too. It's a 60-mile road race, almost point to point. All right. Please comment anything that you think will help me, other than don't do the race. All right, hope you got something out of this and help me out. Comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.